both spotted Wednesday night at the LA Sparks vs. Las Vegas Aces WNBA game. Social media was quick to jump on the interaction, questioning if the two superstars might be teaming up. They look happy to see each other. Shannon, what did this tell you?
It didn't tell me anything. I think it was just two guys showing up at a WNBA game. Skip, it is the 25th anniversary of the WNBA. I'm sure those women that was playing that night, very excited to see a LeBron James, see a Dame Lillard show up to the game. I think D-Wade was also at the game, so I think that means a lot to them. They just happen to be at the same place at the same time. It's just like anything. People always trying to put two and two together. I show up one place and somebody else show up there. Man, I think Sharp hollering at such and such. Just give you know how that goes. I don't think anything. Now, do you think LeBron probably will? Hey, bro, hey, boy, that purple and gold, bro, look good on you. Dave, yeah, I bet it would too. And do I believe Rob Pelinka is going to call Portland? Hey, I believe all the teams are going to call Portland. What would it take for us to pry Dame Lillard away from you? But at the end of the day, Dame is going to have a say on whether he stays or he goes. But I'm not going to read a whole lot into this, Skip. We know what Dame Lillard thinks of LeBron. We know what Bron thinks of Dame because he's made it abundantly clear. Give me Dame. I'll show you how important he is. I'll show you what he's capable of doing. Let me have him. And he's spoken, is that LeBron is the best player? Is he or KD? So I know what Dollar thinks of LeBron. I know what LeBron thinks of Dame. It's just, I don't think it's anything more than that. It was just a coincidence that Dame happens to be in L.A. He wanted to attend a WNBA game. LeBron is in L.A., obviously, attended a WNBA game. I'm not going to read any more to it other than that.
My turn.
For now.
Nothing LeBron James is ever a coincidence. Nothing he ever does is a coincidence. Nothing is not premeditated. There's always method to the madness of every move that he makes. And in many ways, I respect that at the highest level because he's surrounded himself with some of the smartest thinkers in the industry. So let's get this straight. This was a night in which, in your town, in your arena, one of your closest friends is playing to get to his first finals in his 16-year career. That's Chris Paul III.
Right.
Am I correct?
Yeah.
And also in that building is obviously the Clippers playing, which you don't like.
Right.
So I would have no problem if you just said, gee, I'd like to go support my guy, CP3, but I can't because it's the Clippers, and maybe that would be misconstrued that I'm just going to root against the Clippers.
Right, exactly.
So I'm not saying that you have to go and wear a Suns jersey and sit in the front row and scream and yell for CP3, but I am saying that it's highly suspicious to me that you look down the calendar and you say, wait a second. There's another basketball game going on right up the street at the LA Convention Center at the same time as this crucial turning point, Game 6.
Yeah.
The one everybody nationally is buzzing about. We're all on the edge of our seats to see if these Clippers without Kawhi Leonard can get to the NBA Finals, or is it finally Chris Paul's turn? It's everything, and LeBron could not stand it, so he had to try to upstage it. It's just who he is. I'm not finished yet. LeBron James lives to think of ways to flex his fame, his power, and say, watch this. And he needed a partner in crime, so I'm going to suggest, I don't know this, that he invited Dame. Dame does not live in Los Angeles, to my knowledge. I don't think he spends all that much time here. I think he has a home in Portland because he loves Portland, because he wants to stay in small market Portland. And so all of a sudden, he shows up with LeBron at the WNBA game going on simultaneously to the game of the year, the one that could decide the NBA championship, which is going on in LeBron's house, in LeBron's town, a few blocks away in downtown LA. Are you kidding me? And you know what's going to happen because LeBron knows if I make a big scene out of it and I hug Dame at courtside, you know what everybody's going to say. Uh-oh, guess what?
No, that's what you said.
No, that's what I didn't say it because I don't believe it, and you don't believe it either.
No.
But the internet is going to seize it and leap on it and run with it and make a huge story out of it, which they did, which effectively tried to upstage what was going on in LeBron's house just because he couldn't be there.
Okay, that's your question.
That was the game he was supposed to be playing in.
Let me ask you a question. Of LeBron James' 15 playoff appearances, how many playoff games do you think Chris Paul has attended?
Well, I don't know. Was he playing at the same time?
No. So in the finals, so you got an opportunity to go to the finals. How many finals games do you think Chris Paul has attended?
Okay, would that be LeBron's first finals?
No.
I mean, he got to the finals when he was like 20 years old,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So did Chris Paul go?
Well, he wouldn't go. He wasn't even in the league yet, was he?
Yeah, he was in the league.
Okay.
In 2007, Chris Paul was in the league. Yeah,
Okay,
he came in.
but he knew that LeBron was already going to finals after finals.
Okay,
they were cakewalking through the East. They were there every year.
But Chris Paul's
been to how many? Zero.
Let me ask you a question. But how many times have Chris Paul seen LeBron James play a playoff game?
Okay, but how many times did LeBron play a playoff game in Chris Paul's town? Like, how many times did that happen? Well, probably none. I mean, it's a rare. It's a rare coincidence, to use your word, that all of a sudden Chris Paul is going for the finals in a Game 6 that's being played in your building.
Because LeBron can't win. And I knew you was going to do this. If he shows up to the ball game, he's trying to upstage somebody because he knows the cameras are going to be on him.
Okay, but I just told you, I'm okay if he chooses not to go. I'm fine with that.
Right.
I'd be okay if he chose to go.
But you want him to sit in his house. He just can't do anything else. Don't go to the game, but you can't leave your house because Chris Paul is playing, and whatever you do might upstage him.
Shannon, this is classic childish LeBron James. You know it, and I know it.
I'm just asking.
He's saying, what can I do to upstage that game? What can I do to steal some of the spotlight because I deserve to be in that game? That's my house. This is my sport. This is my league. This is where I should be. I can't stand it, so I've got to go over here because I know I'm going to get a bunch of shine over here.
It was ex post facto. Did they interrupt the broadcast and say LeBron James at the convention center?
No, so because they didn't know.
Okay, then. Nobody knew until the game.
Until it hit the internet. And by the end of the night, you brought it up to me right out of the box yesterday morning, right?
But the game was already over. He didn't take any eyeballs away from that game.
Stop it.
Did he take eyeballs from that game?
Yeah, all night long he did. You don't think the internet was on fire with it?
Skip, the people that was on the internet, Skip, I like to think a lot of people have more than one television. So if they wanted to watch the Sparks game, they could.
So it was just a sheer coincidence that all of a sudden, out of the blue, on some random date in, was that early July? Yeah, that would have been, what, July what was it?
It was June.
Well, no, the Clippers night, Game 6.
It was June 30th.
Was it June 30th? Okay, June 30th. All right, so some random night on June 30th, LeBron suddenly says, you know what? I think I want to go all the way downtown tonight to go to the WNBA game. Are they playing for a championship? No.
Showing support.
Okay.
I mean, you just can't be about it. You can't just write things on Twitter and talk about this and equal and won't show support. So he's going to support him. D Wade supporting him. Dame Lillard supporting him. That's what the guys do.
And it wouldn't have anything to do that he could not stand the fact that the Los Angeles Clippers were getting close to being in an NBA Finals.
They were as close as LeBron. They were the same distance as LeBron.
Really?
Which they weren't going. You knew that. I knew that.
I did not know that.
You knew
I
that.
did not know that because you had no idea Chris Paul was going to have the game of his life.
It didn't matter.
Greatest game of his career.
But let me tell you what I did know. I know Paul George wasn't going to have another game of his life. That's what I did know.
Okay.
Now, whether or not Chris Paul was going to have the game of his life, but everybody knew Paul George was not going to have another game like that. And Reggie Jackson was not going to do that again. And Marcus Morris wasn't going to do that again. You knew that. I knew that.
Well, I knew that. I hoped the refs wouldn't steal yet another game from the Clippers like they stole game 2, because if you give them the right call off Ayton's fingertips out of bounds, well, it's a fact of life. If you give them that call, the game is flat out over. It's over, and that would have been a different series, and we would be having a different discussion right now.
All you would have done was delay the inevitable. But they tried to give it back to you in the third quarter because they had 5 fouls on the Suns in the first 2 minutes of the third quarter. And Paul George and everybody was just marching to the free throw line, shooting free throws. They shot 32 of them, remember?
We know who the league office wanted in the finals. If you can't have LeBron and AD, you got to have CP3 and Book and Ayton. And they got it.
Why not the Clippers?
Way to go.
Why not the Clippers? Why not this big old market? You got 40 million people living in California.
The ugly little stepchildren living in the basement?
That's what I